Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wednesday Call Live! Filmed in front of a live studio audience in beautiful Burlington, North Carolina. Today, your special guest hosts, Alex Avian and Patrick Connor!
Wow! Look at this! You guys, thank you. Thank you so much.
That's right.
You know, I was kind of waiting for, I thought that guest speakers get to walk through the Alliance with a camera behind me and they can call, you know how kind of like Andy's walking and, but what you said, I think Chris said, or someone said you have to kind of be here 3 weeks in a row. Maybe you have to own the company too, but anyway. I am so fired up to be here. I cannot believe I'm here with my best family. I mean, hey man, this is one of those family barbecues that you got to be at.
That's right.
And didn't we have fun at the hot spot last night? I'll tell you what, man, Louisville has nothing on y'all. You know what I'm saying? Paul Roberts.
Oh, competition.
So now y'all got to produce now, and I get to instigate it from afar. Oh my God, I'm so humbled to be here. When Andy was looking for a fill-in, because he's out in spring break having fun in Florida with Jane and Spencer, and man, hey dude, thank you so much for letting me do this. I was wondering if he was going to advertise it because, maybe, no. I was like, I don't want to mess you all up, and I'm just humbled that Andy kind of put the stick in my hand basically and let me run with this. So I'm very fired up. But when he was looking for someone to fill in, he tried to find the most successful agents in the Alliance to come share with you. So Fitz and Heather, Diane Lampy and Paul Roberts, they weren't available. They were tied up with their schedule, right? Then he chose, he asked the most successful speakers in the Alliance to talk to you today at the TWC. And Mike and Noel was tied up. Adam and Beth Katz was tied up.
Here it comes.
Stephen Holly Davies was tied up. Andy Real, they're all tied up. So he said, oh gosh, well, I'm just going to, find the two most intellectual nerds in the company. And so Patrick and I just said, right on, Andy, we're there.
Yes!
So let me push my glasses up my nose. I left my pocket protector at home, unfortunately. But here's what's funny. It's I got my master's in economics. Patrick has his master's in aerospace engineering. And really what that turns out to be is a master's in confusion, because we really got our master's degree in turning the most simple concepts into complex formulas. And so we had to actually overcome that intellectualism to actually do this business, and Andy helped us out big time. We went through remedial training, and he got our minds right. Thank God for Andy and Jane. Anyway, again, my name's Alex Avian. I live in Dayton, Ohio with my beautiful wife, Ginny, and Cincinnati is a hotspot meeting. O-H-I-O. And I'm actually the other Asian in the Alliance. My sister Asian, Jane Hill, right?
That's right.
So I'm the other one. Actually, when we both joined, Andy started this program. NAACP? Okay, so he started AAAP. It's the Alliance Asian Affirmative Action Program.
That's right.
So when we joined, I asked Andy, hey dude, can you make money? And he affirmed that we could make money. And we blew up in this thing, and man, we're just grateful for Andy and Jane. So anyway, this is just such a humbling and powerful experience to be able to talk to NAA Nation, the Alliance Nation, and taking what Andy has taught me and repackaging it for you so that maybe you'll understand it. The theme of this call, or theme of this TWC, is how Alex Avian fixed his doubting mind. And we're going to go through that and how you can mess yourself up when you have doubts. Because when you have doubt, you don't have belief. And when you don't have belief, you don't have action. And when you don't have belief and action, what don't you have? Faith. And so when you don't have faith, you can't move mountains. When you don't have faith, you can't make the miraculous happen. And that's what happened to me. And I'll go into a little bit of why that is. But we're very excited to be here, Patrick and I. We came down here and we were just wondering, man, what are we going to say? And so about 5 minutes ago, we finally solidified we're going to talk about. Actually, when you talk about the 4 levels of belief, like we're going to talk about, man, we could just run. We don't have to prepare anything because it comes from the heart. You know, talking about belief in Andy Albright, belief in the Alliance, belief in the upline, and finally belief in you, right? So I'm excited to get to those subjects, but before we jump into it, I want to introduce one of my best friends, if not my best friend in the business, Mr. Patrick Connors. He is, when I met Patrick years ago, he actually came in depth when I got into the Amway business. I brought in a guy at work named Jim, and he gave me a list of name, and that list of name, hey man, it was a list. A list of name led me to a guy named Dave, who led me to a captain named Marty, who led me to Lieutenant Patrick Connors. And this was years ago, BC. Okay, this is BC. This is before children. Patrick Connors before children. If you're going to even, like, I can't even imagine Patrick with, no kids. But yes, there was a time many years ago when Patrick and Suzanne had 0 children. And I think maybe after he met me, that's something. Yes, yeah. I think it's called duplicating your upline, but he did it twice plus 1. Anyway, he's one of my best friends in the world. When he came into the Alliance, he had no knowledge about business. He knew how to be a captain or a lieutenant in the Air Force. And then when he came in, he just took off, and I couldn't believe, really, I felt humbled by his belief in me. In fact, his belief in me was what kept me going, because I couldn't mess up, because Patrick so wanted this business to work that he just looked to me for his example, and that any crack in my armor would break him. So I had to be on my game to keep Patrick going, and man, thank God, man, he never quit. I'm so proud of him and the team he's assembled. He's got so many people in his organization that are on track, on fire, that love Andy Albright. And so I want to bring up my best friend, and I'm his godfather. Yes. He was pretty, he's tall, so it was like we had to carry him over the baptismal font, because as Catholics, we just sprinkle. We don't do that full immersion stuff, because we figured, just a little sprinkle, a little shower, we'll be all right. Holy Spirit's still there. But anyway, let me bring up my buddy, Mr. Patrick Connors.
Thanks, bro. That's awesome. Thank you. That's awesome. That was fun. That was cool. Yeah. I'll tell you a little bit more of the story in a few minutes, but we are Patrick and Suzanne Connors. Suzanne sends hi. She texted hi. She said, please say hi to my Alliance family, Chris C. And a couple of things I wanted to share with you, just so you can see what it's like to be in my world just a little bit. Today, see, this literally was 5 minutes ago. Suzanne sent me a text. They were just doing their meal prayers with the little kids, because some of them aren't at school yet. And Teddy is 3 years old. He's still wearing diapers. And they were saying, who they're praying for they're praying for Ginny's healing over cancer, and all these things they're thankful for. And then right when the prayer was over, Suzanne heard him mutter under his breath, "Thank you, God, for guns. Amen." So he's a rubber band shooting freak. He will shoot everybody. You had to be there, I guess, but I was cracking up. Thank you, God, for guns. And then the other day I was driving back home, and I saw a text come pop. So I pulled over to read this. I actually pressed play, and Siri said it out loud to the whole car, because it was that funny to me anyway. She goes, "We now have a pair of slightly stained boy underwear hanging from the foyer chandelier." And then she said, "Just another normal day." So that's what it's like to live in my house anyway. So it's true, when I met Alex, I'll tell you more about it in a little bit, but one of the first things we ever did was, I think the second time I met him was at a gathering like this, and when the meeting was over, one of his friends who'd known him for years came up and was chatting to him, what are you and Jenny doing this weekend? And he said, well, we're going to have our baby daughter Zoe baptized. That was his first baby. And I just listened, and they said, where's it going to be, and what time is it going to be? And then on that day, I just showed up. I was not invited. I definitely was not Catholic. I'm not sure if I was Christian. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't know what the definition is, heathen, pagan, whatever. But I wasn't sure. I believed, but I don't know what the rules are. But I showed up. Why did I show up to his daughter's baptism in a faith that I'm not even interested in? Because he was there. I so much wanted to hang around this guy. Why? Because every time I saw him, he was always pointing at Andy. He was always pointing at the system. And I wanted to follow somebody who seemed to be tight and following those guys. That was exciting to me. So I'm really excited to be here. You want me to get into get started? Okay, this is really, really cool. Thank you, Andy and Jane. Thank you, Alliance Media. This is really cool up here. And thank you, all of you, because it wouldn't be as cool without you. The play button for the laughter is not as cool as real laughter. It's just not. It's not. Okay, so Family Reunion, get your calendars out. We got a couple calendar events to put in, just in case you haven't done it yet. If you haven't signed up for Family Reunion, or maybe you signed up and you don't even know when the dates are, that's okay. It is July 18, 19, 20, and 21. If you haven't signed up yet, where can you go to sign up? AllianceFamilyReunion.com. Is that right, Chelsea? Okay, AllianceFamilyReunion. There's a whole bunch of ways to get to that website, apparently, but that'll do it. And if you haven't made a decision yet to go, please just decide to go. Just make a decision. You got to do something that weekend. If you're not getting married that weekend, if you don't have like a funeral scheduled for 4 months from now, if you're not graduating from college, or actually if you are graduating, you should still be at Alliance Family Reunion, in my opinion. But if you haven't decided yet, just please come. I think if you get around the Alliance family, you're going to fall in love. Now, if you're scared of that, I understand. It can be a little daunting. But I think over time you'll just absolutely think it's the best decision you ever made. Okay, next thing is we have an Alliance cruise and an extension trip to Seattle coming up. Who's going? Who's going? Who's going? Tons of details all over the internet about this too, and posters and on our website. But the details for this are very simple. 200,000 points, and you get to go to Alaska, all expense paid trip for two, treated like royalty. Who's been on one of these trips before? Don't they treat you like royalty to you? I mean, I feel a little guilty the way they treat us on these trips sometimes. But 200,000 gets you the trip to Alaska and the extension trip to Seattle. And if you just barely miss it, like 190 or something, or 185,000 points, you still get to go to Alaska with just 115,000 points. All right, Ron, 115,000 points. How many points? 115,000 points. It's already in March. We're halfway through March. Think Andy does that all the time, right? Doesn't he? He's like, tick-tock, tick-tock, like, I'm going. How many points do you have? No points yet. Tick-tock, tick-tock. But you can get 60,000, is it 60,000? 60,000, that's more than half. Yeah. More than half of the points you need, you can get just by getting your first policy with NLG, F&G, CFG, and Forrester's G. See, I did the G there? Just parallel structure. They must feel left out sometimes. And if your first policy is with one of those four carriers, that's 10,000 points right off the bat. Like new people have an advantage over the people that have been here for a couple months, And then every time you pop up a different level, like bam, 10,000, bam, 10,000, bam, 10,000, all the way up to here, that's 60,000 points. So it's something you don't want to miss. The very first trip that I got to go on with Alex and Jenny and Andy and Jane and Fitz and Heather and Adam and Beth Katz, all my friends in the Alliance, Mike and Noel Leventovich, was an Alaskan cruise trip. And it's still my favorite trip of all time. Please win this trip. You'll love it, okay? And nobody does it like Andy and Jane. Nobody does it like it's not just that you're in Alaska. Some people live in Alaska and they're like, this is not like heaven for me. You know, I'm thinking of Alan Yoshikawa last year, lived on the big island of Hawaii, and we all flew into the big island of Hawaii, and he just got in his, Prius and drove down the road to visit us, But it's the way we travel. Alan and Sandy had to come to hang out with the Alliance family. That's the way we do it in Alaska. Okay, next thing, brand new ALA dates. Did you guys see the ALA dates? Did you see them? Okay, get your calendars out. April 25th, 26th, and 27th. Alliance Leadership Academy. Brand new. It just came out yesterday, right? The night before, April 24th, there's a social at 8 p.m. This is going to be at Alliance Houston office, okay? So if you're anywhere within a 5 or 10 hour flight of Houston, then that would be local. You could get there, okay? That's the way I look at it. Okay, June 6th, 7th, and 8th, they're going to do it again in Alliance Jacksonville office. So Jacksonville, Florida is going to do this again June 6, 7, 8, and the social will be the night before, June 5th. And then this just came out like within the last hour, I think, Terry. On June 12th, 13th, and 14th, they're going to do it right here at Alliance headquarters again. It's just they got such tremendous response to this. And the night before, there'll be a social, but this social is going to be at the Greensboro hotspot. Okay, it's going to be through the roof. They're going to have to bust walls down at the hotel. I mean, that hotel's never going to be the same again. Never. Can you imagine 50 folks who qualify? They applied to get into the ALA. Their upline and their manager, recommends, and the Alliance goes through all the interviews and all of the applications, and they pick the top 50 up-and-coming superstars, first 30, 60, 90-day agents who are like coming out of that gates fast. They're going to tear up that hotel. It's going to be a blast. Oh, it's going to be fun. Okay. Thank you, Robbie Kraft, for that information. Okay, so who was just at an ALA, an Alliance Leadership? Wow. Hey, stand up. Will you stand up if you were at an ALA? Were you at, oh my goodness. Wow. Do we have time? Can we, hey, come on up. If you were, just line up right here. These are brand new agents. These are brand new agents with the Alliance. Line them up right here. Oh yeah, look at that. This is the future. This is the future. This is what it was like to see, years ago, if you were like, wonder what Adam Katz looked like when he just got, this is what Adam Katz looked like. Do you see the resemblance? Right around the ears. This is Adam, this is my friend Jane Byun when she got started, before she became Jane Hill, and right on down the line. No, these are the next EVPs and board members in the Alliance. You want to meet them? You want to meet them? Okay, you see the clock, right?
Yes, sir.
And we've got about 30 seconds to do this, but for each of you. So let's do this. Can you say your name?
Okay.
And who hired you? Oh, thank you. Can you say your name and who hired you? And then, remember City Slickers for us old people? The one thing, Curly said the one thing that sticks out in your mind above everything else that you'll never forget.
Okay.
You guys have it easy, but he's got to do this on the fly. Are you get it right? Okay, ready? Name. What was it? What did I say again? I got problems. Name, who you're hired by, and your hotspot. Thank you. Your home hotspot, and then the one thing.
Okay. My name is Branford Nugent. I'm hired by TN.
I'm sorry. My bad. Is the microphone working? Is it working? Okay.
Okay.
Now you want to say your name. Remember.
Okay.
You are the next field marshal in the Alliance. You're the next Grand Poobah.
Poobah.
We call those board members.
Okay.
Board members. So
Poobah.
enunciate your name nice.
Okay. My name is Branford Nugent.
Yes.
The second. Can't forget that part.
Second.
My home hotspot is going to be Raleigh, Durham. I hired directly by mommy and daddy, Tia and Terry. And the one thing that I took from the ALA was Miss Long, Chelsea Long, talked about being busy compared to being productive. Yeah. And the difference, busy is pretty much, clean the house up a little bit. Productive is making those dials, going to those appointments, doing that recruiting, doing that building. That's right. Let's go.
Whoa, hold on. Did you just say that because you saw her in the room?
Nah. I didn't even see her.
You didn't even see her? How does that make you feel? I mean, was Andy there?
He was.
Who else was there? Like Terry? He jumped all those people, Chelsea, and said you. We are never going to live this down. Never. Thank you, Slavia. Good job.
Name is Ron Thompson. Director Michael and Angie Owens. Raleigh Durham is my hot spot. Where we say Tri-City, boom! My biggest takeaway would be when the great legend Terry Edwards said, duplication looks like magic to those that don't duplicate. I'm going to hold dear and dear to that one. I like that.
I'm writing that down. That's good stuff. No, you go ahead. I'm writing that. That's good stuff. Because we believe in magic.
My name is Dustin Pruitt, direct to Chris Kofer. Greensboro is my home hotspot. Smoking hot! Woo! That's right. I would say the main thing that I learned is the power of a rally point. So there were 50 people, and we were given an hour to dial a list of names. And in that hour, we managed to recruit 212 people. Wow. Just imagine if that's your organization, EVP that fast. Yeah.
That's good stuff. Well done, Dustin. Good job.
My favorite.
Come on. Chris.
What's up? Chris Kofer, hired by Lisa Boyce. Greensboro is my home hotspot. Smoking hot! Woo! The biggest thing for my takeaway was don't have a part-time mentality if you want a full-time income.
Can you say it again slower? A little slower.
Don't have a part-time mentality if you want a full-time income.
That's big. That's right.
That's solid. Hey, Chris. It's just mic drop. That's good stuff.
So my name is Aaron Wright. Greensboro is my home hotspot.
Smoking hot!
Woo! And my biggest takeaway is mastering the mundane, heading back to the basics. We all have a lot of questions we want to ask Andy, but he made a Millionaire Maker manual that goes over everything step by step, pace by pace. So if we just master mundane, go over the Millionaire Maker, we can all be EVPs and take it to the top.
Good job.
My name.
Okay, there are 3 Asians in the alliance.
My name is Ann Wright. I'm from I was hired by Aaron Wright, aka husband. My home hotspot is Greensboro.
Smoking hot!
My biggest takeaway is learn is how to treat this job like a job. Also, how to master the basics and stop complicated the basic.
Good job.
I'm Teresa Barham, hired by Ben Ortiz. My home hotspot is Greensboro.
Smoking hot! Woo!
My biggest takeaway was learning the ABCD and knowing what my priorities are and kicking everything else to the side when dials is number 1.
Good job. Thank you. Good job. Hey, one more round of applause for the ALA guys. Good job. I guess we should have asked them, would y'all go back? Would you do it again if they let you in? You'd go back again?
Yes.
Did they make you do push-ups? No. That's what we had to do when we went through training. Yeah, mental push-ups. Yeah. Hey, is it gonna be success overnight? Is it gonna take a day? But you can get started right away. I'm so excited. If you want to be like one of these folks, if you want to have quick out the gate success, why not apply? Terry, what if they don't think they're good enough to apply? What if they have some self-doubt? What should they do? Apply anyway. That's what Terry said, apply anyway. Just apply, send up the paperwork. What if you've got someone on your team who's not applying, but you think that person has the seeds of greatness in them? What should you do? Apply for them. Sign their name for them? No, we don't sign their name. Well, it's not an insurance application, you know. Yeah. No, we got to recognize them. Get them up to Andy Albright. Get them up to the ALA staff and help them make it a hard decision who they're going to bring in, right? Let's give them so many applications, it's going to make it tough. Okay, Alex, do you want to talk about anything before we get into the next segment? No. This is really cool. This piece of the TWC you are going to love. Because this is somebody who went through her own ALA, but it wasn't a 3-day ALA. It was a 3-year ALA. And I can't tell you how excited I am about the perseverance of this person, the struggles that she's been through with her husband, and now some incredible successes. You guys want to hear a story like that? You do? Bring her up. Linda and David Holt. Woo! That's awesome. Okay. Woo! Oh.
Wow. You can hear okay? All right. It didn't. Couldn't hear. Wow, this is a real honor to be able to be here. We're so thankful for Andy Albright and the system that we have. We're so thankful for Patrick and Kyle and for Alex and all of their leadership and their great love pouring into us that and kept encouraging us so that we could be to this point. And we still got a lot more way to go, but we're just taking it one step at a time. So about 3 years ago, Linda got going.
Time out. I hate to do this, but wasn't that a great introduction? Yeah. He knows his job, doesn't he? And if I could learn that with my wife, things would be a lot better. That was fantastic. That was awesome. That's great. That's great. Okay.
Well, I'm Linda Holt. I'm direct to David Holt. And he hired me into the Alliance, took me on my 4th date to a hot spot, Mr. Romance. And I think a year later I married him anyway. In spite of.
Sounds like a good song.
But I was not doing this business. There's no way I'm selling insurance. I only got my license to make you think highly of me.
Did it work?
I wanted to impress him, you know. It worked. So when I got started in the Alliance, I wasn't going to do it. I went on a couple appointments. I sold myself a couple policies. They were great. The income was great on that annuity, you know. I thought, God, I could do that again with somebody else. I can make that kind of money. So I went on a few appointments, but dialing was hard.
Tell it.
It was hard.
How hard was it?
It was very hard. And we did rally points and everything, and everybody struggled. We're throwing our head on the table, you know. It was difficult. And Kyle told me, track your numbers. Just sent me a spreadsheet. I am a spreadsheet girl. I started tracking my numbers, and they were pitiful.
What do you mean?
Well, 8 dials. You know, no, they were bad. 1 appointment every 3 weeks. I mean, it was bad. And I thought, but I could see other people struggling. And I thought to myself, this has got to be like push-ups. If you do 2, tomorrow you can do 3. And I did. And I kept going. It's just, you just do another one. It's not as painful on the 6th one and the 7th one. Don't worry, you know, just keep going. And then I went to visit Pam Moore. I asked her if I could attend her rally point, or her rally point at her house. And she welcomed me with open arms. She let me stay at her house. She is awesome. And she said, we're going to dial. I think it was from 8:30 in the morning till 8:30 at night. And we all sat there and we dialed. And we dialed. And it was painful. And I was sore the next day. It was hard. And I think I made $585 dials. Woo! Woo! The most dials I've ever made in a day, 585 dials. Wow. It was awesome. I made 7 appointments.
You made 7 appointments. Yay! 7 appointments.
Woo! And no sales.
How many sales?
No sales. They all showed up though. They were all there.
Good stuff.
So I went home with my tail between my legs. You know, it's an 8-hour drive up there, an 8-hour drive back. And Okay, here we go. She told me how to do it. I got to do it at home. So the next week I made 25 dials all by myself. It was awesome.
By yourself?
By myself. I wasn't with the team, you know. There's nobody looking at me, nobody to be accountable to. But I just kept doing it. And I got to figure this out. And at the end of, I got my license in 2016. At the end of 2016, we were packing to go visit his mother for the holidays. And I was screaming at him, I'm not doing this anymore. I quit, da-da-da. And he's so sweet. He didn't say anything. Come on, honey, let's go on vacation. He said nothing, absolutely nothing. So we went away, we came back, we had a lovely week. And when it came time, I started talking. I thought, you know, I got to figure this out. I've never tried to book 20 appointments. I'm going to book 20 appointments. And for the first 5 weeks, until the next life challenge came up, I made 20 appointments a week.
Wow. When was this then?
That was at the beginning of 2017.
Okay.
And my sales were terrible. And we went to visit Andy in Atlanta. We went to, he was down there doing a boot camp, and I went down there and I showed him my numbers. And he was like, wow. Why wouldn't you ask somebody for help? If you were going, you know, you're putting in the effort, why would you ask somebody for help? So he said to ask somebody. So I was embarrassed, and I didn't. And he told me a few books to read, and I read them, and I, reached out to a few people, and finally, Katrina was just killing it.
Who?
Katrina Gustin, my girl. I love her dearly. She was just killing it, and I had never talked to her, and I said I would love to meet her, ride with her. I saw her at family reunion and introduced myself, and I said, could I? And she said yes. And that was, in July? So about September, the beginning of September, I said to Kyle, I would really love to ride with Katrina.
Kyle who?
Kyle Cater, our upline. So I'm talking to him on the phone, and Kyle is a busy man. And he says, hold on a minute. At an agent house. Hold on. So I'm waiting on the phone. Comes back. Okay, what else can I do for you? Da-da-da. Hold on a minute. Gets back on the phone. I just talked to Katrina. You can go next week. What? Kyle, I'm getting married next week, right? I got a fitting. I got this going on. And he goes, well, can you go? I don't know. I'll call you back. So I called the fitting place, rescheduled, got my hair. You got to do that hair thing, the pre-hair before the day of the wedding. I rescheduled all of that. Then I called my maid of honor, who is a 6-foot redhead, and she was not happy. Said, I'm going to Orlando. Without me? So I drove the 10 hours down there, and I asked Katrina, I said, I want to ride with you, but I do want to attend your dial session. I said, can I do that? She said, yeah, but it's going to be on Saturday, and we're not going to run until Monday. I need help with my dials. So I went down, there was at Mickey Cruz's office, and there's a whole group of people sitting on the floor. I mean, it was everywhere. It was loud. And so here I am, and I'm sitting like this next to Katrina. I could not hear a word she was saying. I was trying my best to hear. And I see Junior sitting off the side dialing, and I just slipped my phone on record and slid it over there. And I spent the whole day. They booked their 20 appointments and going on. And Monday we went out riding, and Katrina, just like me, got the door slammed in her face. People told her no.
Katrina?
I mean, the woman literally slammed the door in our face. It was unbelievable. But she got her sales. And so, I was an administrative assistant, and so we were talking to her, and she said, I want to hire an administrative assistant, but I have an interview tomorrow. And she said, can you stay an extra day? I said, yes, I'm going to stay for your hotspot. And yes, I'd love to stay the extra day, so just to be around you. So I stayed the extra day, came home, drove home, and got married on Saturday. And we went to Orlando to Disney for our honeymoon, and met Katrina and her husband while we were there for dinner. Had a wonderful time.
Had a good time.
Yes.
How about that audio of Junior?
Oh my! I forgot all about that. Thank you. So the audio of Junior. Thank you, Junior. I know I probably have never said this to you, but till this day, when I struggle, I turn on that and listen to him. He is amazing. And if you ever get the opportunity to hear him, I've heard him do it on stage, and someone next to me said, "That's not going to work." Oh my gosh, it works. I mean, that boy is amazing. And the rhythm, it's just not what he says, it's his inflection. He's so calm. He just, and when I am struggling, listen to that. It will bring you, there are people too. I mean, it's just awesome. And, it's just an amazing thing. Thank you, Junior.
Okay, so you won Paris.
We won Paris. We kind of knew it probably at the 1st of November. We had the numbers, and it took forever for it to, that was before the Ark. It took forever to figure it out, and we waited and waited, and we came here for the Dean Bagnozzi meeting when he was here on a Wednesday, so we were going to attend the hotspot, and we had no idea, and then Andy said we won it. That's when it came. So we were so shocked. But now we went to NatCon, and Andy's talking about doubling the business and working, and we came back. I said, David, we need to double our business. So I was still keeping my numbers, just like Kyle said, and so I went back to my little Excel, the little geek girl that I am. I'm the child of these two. I went back and I averaged that. Even though I was trying to book 20 appointments a week, I only averaged 15 for the year. What? I thought I was doing 20 a week. No, averaged 15 for the whole year. So how do I double that? I booked 30. So we had actually met with Alex, and he was coaching us on what to do, and he said to David, because my sales are so bad, it would probably be a good idea if you went out too instead of just staying recruiting, just to help so I said, if I book the 30 appointments, will you run with me? And that's what we've been doing. And it's amazing. So we've done that for the past 6 weeks. We were since NatCon, and been booking our 30 minutes a week, except for 1 week. We only booked 10 because I didn't have enough leads. And you have to be prepared. Make sure you've got enough leads for the area you're going to be in, because it's hard to run 30 appointments in one area every week. You've got to plan ahead. You've got to make sure that so we let them build up for 3 weeks and then go to that area, then the next area, and do that. So you've got to plan ahead. And so we did that, and 1 week we messed up, and we had 0 sales on that week. But we didn't get to attend the Greensboro Hotspot last night because we were out running business in the last 2 days. We sold 12,300. And dialing is not that easy. Still, it is not that easy. Andy called me a turtle on the, and it takes me 33 dials an hour. Well, last weekend it was worse. It took me. It was such a struggle, and I was in leads from last year-old leads, trying to get enough appointments. I'm getting 30 today if it kills me. So I dialed from 8:30 in the morning till probably about 8 at night, and when I went back and figured out how long it took me, it was only 26 dials an hour. Because why? Because when I got a no, I would sit there. But I got them.
You got them.
Well, I only got 28.
You got 28.
So I door knocked 2 other people and got the sits on those.
Oh, so proud of them. So proud of them. So proud of them. Alice, you want to summarize? So much good stuff.
How could I summarize that?
I don't know. It's amazing.
I mean, look, I tell you what, sometimes not everyone can be the superstar getting out the gate. Okay, there's only a few Jared Gonzalez's out there just like go insane, which Jared rocks. But then you have people that just, man, they just keep doing it and doing it and doing it and not even wanting to do insurance. And you know what? The key in this business that I've seen, the successful people are the ones that make two decisions. The first one is to get in, and the second one is not to quit. They don't quit. That's the only two decisions. Very simple. Two decisions. Get in and then don't quit. And if you just every day keep moving one step closer, make just a few more dials. Linda and David are the example of incremental improvements over time because they went out and got around the people that were successful. They came to functions. They never missed TWCs. They're around everything because no one can do it on his own. Like what does Andy say? Turtle on a fence post. He did not get there by himself, right? And so, man, I'm so proud of y'all. And yes, an Asian can use that word too. I am so proud of you guys.
Thank you very much. And one of the things that Andy has always said is that there's 100% success in the people that don't quit, and that has driven me. But the thing, I did not want to sell insurance, but I came to all the meetings with David, and I don't want to quit these people. That's the thing. You can't not want to be here and be part of this family. And I thank you, Andy and Jane. I've never met you, Jane, but God bless you for supporting Andy all the time.
That's right.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, David.
Wow. What does Andy always say? Don't drive them off, man. Don't drive them off. You don't got to be their magical mentor. You don't have to be, you just have to invite them to things. And what's great, what Kyle did was just kept encouraging them to come around all these people, come around the system. You know, they went the extra mile and they flew to places where there were people doing stuff. And Junior Korea, man. Junior, you rock, bro. I appreciate you. And you see, you have no idea when you're actually doing the do, when you're out there making dials and getting success, do you know that it's not just about you, it's what you inspire in other people. The inspiration part of our business is by you being successful, right? And success is doing the do and putting the numbers up, that you will inspire other people. That's how this thing works, gang. So that's why you can be a great example if you just get out there and slam it just like them. I'm so proud of them. You guys rock. And, you know, I'm so humbled that, you know, I told you, track your numbers. And then she went spreadsheet crazy. A woman after my own heart. And then I looked at her spreadsheet, like, whoa, she actually did it. I mean, she created spreadsheets better than me, you know. And then it was from there, because you can't expect what you don't inspect. And man, she inspected like crazy, and she's still trying to improve. But man, her spreadsheet's rocking this year, and it will keep going. So I'm just so proud of y'all. Anyway, all right. So I guess I'm up. Okay. So let's talk about this. The whole doubt in my mind. But Alex, you've been in this business for a long time, and how could you doubt anything? And it's like, gang, man, doubt is a daily thing. In other words, don't we have to exercise our faith every day? See, it's either belief or doubt, and it's a sliding scale, in my opinion. You got belief and you got doubt. So you could have full belief or you could have full doubt, or you could be somewhere kind of in between. You sort of believe, but then you kind of doubt, and it's like nowhere to be because nothing happens. In fact, okay, let me go into Jeff Bright mode. Okay, so if people say they have the best hair in NAA, Jeff Bright has the second best hair in NAA. So I love Jeff. He's my buddy. He's about my age too. I know. We got to get to the formulas now. So faith equals belief times action, in parentheses, times confidence. So maybe Jeff Bright's next book is with me. Anyway, I would be so honored. Faith equals belief and action, belief times action times confidence. You ever wonder, like, people interchange faith and belief all the time. What's the difference? Faith, you can move mountains. Faith is more than just belief. Belief is not faith. Faith is more than belief. Belief is action. And then the confidence is what amps this formula up. Right? So pull out your Bibles. Matthew 17:20. Now, for all y'all who don't know this book, this is a very old book. It's got a bunch of books inside the book. And it's a book that I read all the time, every day. And there's stuff in it that just resonates with me. So, Matthew 17:20. So Jesus said to them, because of your unbelief, for assuredly I say to you, if you have faith of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. Mark 19:23-24. Jesus said to him, if you can believe all these things are possible to who believes, if you can believe, all things are possible to him who believes. And immediately the father of the child cried out and said with tears, Lord, I believe, help my unbelief. And that's where I was. Andy, I believe, help my unbelief. See, because this is where the doubt was coming from. It affected my belief. My doubt affected my belief, which affected my action and confidence, and I was operating not in faith. That's why my business has been maintaining itself, but not exploding with miraculous growth. Now, here's the problem with being so numbers nerdy as me, okay, is that I examine everything, and I look at everything, and by being in the numbers all the time, I don't get to feel what could happen. I only see what has happened. And the problem with looking at what has happened is I'm so history focused that I'm not focused on the possibilities of what could happen in the future. Wow. See, when we got started in 2002 in this business, when Andy said, hey, but I got something I think that's we're going to be doing here, and I said, man, whatever it is, let me do it with you. I don't care what it is. We could have been selling brooms. We could have gone door to door. We could have done anything. Whatever Andy was going to do, I want to be part of it because I always believed in him. When I met Andy in the Amway biz, it was like, I want to go where that guy's going because he's always crazy excited. He and Jane. And Andy was just in orbit all the time when he spoke from these Coliseum stages of thousands of people. And Jane was just like the rock. They just complimented each other so much. And they had that attraction that that he was going somewhere. So when he asked me to come in, it's like, oh, let's do it. Okay, so what are we doing again? I didn't care what it was. So we got in this thing and we blew it up. And one of the biggest things that really motivated me was I always built this business with when I first got in, that, hey, I can help other people get what I got. I can help other people get the contract I got. That's nerdy insurance speak for the top level contract. When we got in, it's like, hey man, if I can help Mike and Noel and Patrick and other people I brought on get to my contract level, and I got compensated for them to get the 110 at the time, the 110 contract, then man, rock on. I'm going to help everybody. And I did that. I operated my business like that. I was the first manager in the Alliance back then to break 2 agency managers. And it was Mike and Noel and Patrick. And the next manager that broke, next manager that broke out an agency manager was a year later. I was like, man, let's go, let's do it, come with me, because you can get to where I got, right? And then I was the first manager to break 2 110 legs. So Patrick and Noel, we're all interchangeable, I guess. Mike and Noel and Patrick and Suzanne got through the 110 contract, and we got a bonus. And then later Fitz broke out a whole bunch of 110s, and we, it was cool. But the problem with all of that was that there was like problems up and down it's called commission creep. But so in 2011, we changed the promotion guidelines so that we fixed one problem, but then it created another one. It's sort of that unintended consequence. And so I kept building my business and trying to get people to get to the manager level and the 110 level. And since 2011, we were not able to do it. And so as I started examining the facts of what I saw on a spreadsheet, I started thinking, man, before I could get people to the 110. Now it's like I felt, okay, this is me. I'm not saying that it couldn't be done. I just felt like I couldn't do it. I couldn't get people, I couldn't help them to get my 110 contract because in the 8 years, we hadn't done it. No one had got to the 110 contract. And so my belief was shaken. So when I showed the plan, I could show you how to get to AM, agency manager, because people were going agency manager after about 3 or 4 years. Back in the other system, they were going agency manager like 6 months. So it was like a slow, arduous process, but and so I believe that you can get there. You can make a great living at making $300,000 a year, right? But I still didn't believe that you can get to the 110 contract. And inside of me, it was like if I can't help people get to my contract, I felt a little bit, I don't know, just ingenuous. There was like this incongruency inside me that I could tell people, hey, you could do it, man. You can rise to the top. When in my mind, I didn't think I could help them get there. Do you see how that incongruency in my life and in the way I thought about the business hurt my belief? Those doubts hurt my belief. Do you know that it's not about lack of faith? It's lack of belief. See, because when you get the belief going, you get your action going. You're putting your faith in action through belief and action. And then when you start getting results and when you start seeing other people rise up, then your confidence goes up. And then what happens? Your faith goes up. See, it doesn't take a lot to make a faith the size of a mustard seed. Jesus didn't say, the faith the size of a watermelon. You know what I'm saying? Mustard seed's like the smallest seed. And it doesn't take much to get there. But we kind of focus on the wrong things. It's like, Lord, give me more faith. Well, what does that really mean? It's like, I pray, Lord, give me more belief. If I can believe more, then I will do more. And then when I do more, I will have confidence, like Linda, that she can do more. And by doing more, doing the do, then you can rise up and create that miraculous growth that we're poised to have in the Alliance.
That's right.
The miraculous explosion. See, because no one has what we have. No one has what we have. The biggest thing that any of these companies don't have is they don't have Andy and Shane Albright.
That's right. That's right.
You know what I'm talking about? And they don't got Terry and Tia.
That's
right? They don't have a Chris and Courtney Long. They don't have an Angie and Michael Owens. They don't have a Jason and Tawny Carey. They don't have a Chad and Melanie Ray. You know what I'm saying? They don't have these leaders. They don't have you. And that's why we got the Alliance advantage. So when you bring someone in, the biggest thing that I've seen change in my business was Andy Albright coming to me last year. And he said, hey, Bo. Like I was like, okay, so truth be told, we're friends here, right? I know. Man, I've totally been working on Andy to try to create more of a multi-tiered system where you can like promote people and everyone would win, that you can earn an override and not lose, and not have someone make your contract level and then boom, your override's gone. And I was coming up with all kinds of slick ways, all kinds of fancy ways, and Andy was always nervous about it because then it meant creating a system to do that. And it's like, oh my gosh, And so he said, dude, like, I don't think we're ready. I don't think we're ready. So last year, he comes to me and I said, dude, what can we do? And he said, dude, I think I got something. I think I got this program. I'm talking to this other company and they've already figured it out. They got a system in place. And he started trading stuff back and forth with me. And he showed it to me. I was like, oh my gosh, dude, this is what we've been looking for 10 years. This is what we should have done, but it didn't exist back then. But he found it. And now my belief has changed because now everybody can get my contract. And I'm going to get to that 120, and then I'm going to help everybody else get to the 120. And I get to win. It's called the glow bonus. It is called opportunity. It's called I can get everyone to my contract. You're not ever afraid of someone matching your contract. And so the belief goes up, the action goes up. Like, I'm telling you what, man, I've got more people recruiting. See, there was a time in my business just 8 months ago where I had only 1 or 2 people outside of me recruiting in my base shop. Now I've got like 10, 12 because of this comp system, because of what Andy Albright put together for us. So Andy, I believe, helped my unbelief, and he did. So let's talk about the 4 levels of belief.
All right, teach us, buddy. That's right. Give the people what they came from.
So when someone comes into the alliance, I have to help them believe more. And what's really crazy about you helping someone believe is that you have to believe. People won't believe if you don't believe. People believe in people who believe in people. People believe in people who believe in Andy Albright. How are you going to get people to believe in Andy Albright if you don't believe in Andy Albright? Here's what I get nervous. I get nervous when people say, well, Alex, I'm really in this business because of you. Oh my God. I don't want people to be in the business because of me. I want people to be in the business because of Andy Albright. Does that make sense? Because I will mess up. I am not perfect. I do all this crazy stuff sometimes. But Andy is always the perfect model to duplicate. He's the original, right? He's the original. And when you ever, like Terry, make a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, by the time you get to the 12th generation of the copy, you can hardly recognize it. I tell people all the time, hey, copy him. He is the perfect original to copy. Don't copy me. I'm still trying. But I'm not 100%. So, man, Andy Albright, what I love about Andy is that you know that there are 3 partners that started the alliance. And Andy felt like constricted with growing the business. They were just satisfied where the business was. And he was like, man, let's do this. And he always got outvoted. And so what Andy said is, you know what? Let's buy them out. I'm going to buy them out so I can run the show the way I want to do it. And you know, he committed to some huge money. If you actually, for those of you long enough, remember when he bought his first plane? Yeah. You remember that, right, James? Well, the reason why he didn't buy it before is that he was still paying those guys off. Wow. Millions of dollars. He bet on us to buy the company out. And we came through by keeping the company going and selling insurance and recruiting and building. And then he had the money to buy the company out from them. And then, man, Katie barred the door. We took off. And here's what's also crazy is, you know, Andy, and when he had the partners, they were offered opportunities to sell the company for $1 gazillion. And all the time Andy thought, man, I'm not going to sell it. The other 2 thought, well, maybe we could. He said, no, man, if I sell it, then I don't have an opportunity to help Fitz and Heather could create an opportunity. Alex and Jenny to create opportunity. And he said, man, I'm not going to sell this thing. I want a legacy for all of us. Right. It's not just an Andy Albright legacy. It's a legacy for all of us. Then the other thing, man, that I'm just humbled is that he created an opportunity for people to have a career with the Alliance. Well, Patrick, why don't you talk about that?
Cool. Thank you, Alex. Have you ever run the prices, the rates, the quotes in National Life Group's software for $550 million? What's a typical death benefit we're doing? 100,000, 200,000, million. Try it. Just do it. Write it down. I don't know. Tonight, run the rates for $550 million and run it on, what's an average agency manager in the Alliance age-wise? I don't know, 30, 25? Yeah. You could do it on a 25-year-old, but you might want to look at the people who got the premium financing deal that Andy gave out for the first wave, and it's probably closer to 30 or 40. What do you think, Chelsea? So, do half on women, 200 and whatever, half of 550 million is, you know what I'm saying? And it is unreal how much he's committed, he and Jane. And did you know this was coming 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 15 years ago? He just sprung it on us. He said, if you work hard and grow the company and build the Alliance family and do the things in the 8 steps of success and do the things in the Millionaire Maker Manual, and if you do all those things, here's how we're going to reward you. And he just threw this on you. And I'm telling you, you said humbled. I had no idea it was coming. I'm still, every day, if Andy sends a text to the people who got the first wave of the premium financing, I'm just like, I can't even believe I'm on there. Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Every single text he sends out to us, I'm like, I still can't believe I'm on that list. And what he said was that every one of us have this option. We're talking about being able to get 5 or 10 million or 20 million or 30 million of life insurance on your family that Andy and Jane and the Alliance are paying for. And then who knows what happens when the cash value of that grows over 15 or 20 years. Run the thing in your software tonight. See how big of a commitment that was. But when I first met Andy, I don't know, who in here heard the name Andy Albright before you met Andy Albright? Like somebody promoted and edified Andy and said, you need to come, like almost everybody, right? I didn't ask the question. Well, it's kind of a weird question. Like, of course somebody told me about Andy Albright before I came to see his company, right? Well, the first time I met him, nobody had mentioned his name to me. I was in another company, and we were building up little groups, building our organizations, and I qualified, Suzanne and I qualified, Terry, to go to this, it was kind of like an ALA, but nothing like our ALA. And so I was actually sitting right where you are, David. I was sitting there, and Andy came right up, Andy Albright, and within about half a second, I loved this guy. Maybe a quarter of a second. I mean, you know what I'm saying. When he comes in, you're like, whoa! Well, he comes up, he's got his notes, and he's doing through his life. He said, everybody draw your group out. Take a piece of paper. You don't have to put everybody on your group, but all your key players, the organization you're building, draw it on a piece of paper. Turn it sideways. So he comes over and starts doing exactly what he's asking us to do. He's wide open. He starts drawing his group out, and I'm over here drawing, well, I got this. Well, they don't qualify. Yeah. And I drew my whole group out. I was all excited. And he said, now, so you got your group drawing. Can you see your group drawing in your head? James, it's hard for you. It's a huge group. But what he said, this is like, I'll never forget this. This was 1997. Some of you weren't born yet, right? This hasn't changed. He said, take your group now. I want you to find your first leader, your first organization. Go to the next leader, Debbie, and draw a line. After that second leader with all of those people in that group, draw a line right there between your second and your third group. Have you got me? I know I'm not drawing it out. Have you got me? Yeah. He said, now over here, all this stuff in your third and fourth, if you draw it out the way he says to in the Millionaire Maker Manual, there's a formula on how to draw it out. It's very simple. He goes, all this stuff over here, legs 3, 4, 5, this is what you know about the business. And I was like, oh yeah, I know some stuff, And then he goes, everything over here, Callie, in the first and second group with all those people, that's what your upline knows about the business. That's not what you know about the business. And I was looking at my group. I don't know if you've ever done this exercise, but it's very humbling. At least in my group, it was very, very humbling. And at that moment, just with his little explanation of how to really make money in this business, I knew I wanted to be better at recruiting and building. This was before he built the Alliance. The next thing I remember was Alex invited me to go to an ALA. This was like really one of the first ALAs in the Alliance. It wasn't called that. But it was in Florida in April of 2000. Mike and Noel went, Alex went, most of your leaders who were around at the time, they were there. And we walked in the room. I had sold insurance, Ron, for 3 months with Andy Albright and about 800 of his best friends. He didn't know me. I'd never met him before. I still didn't meet him at that meeting 5 years earlier. And I walked in the door, and he was standing at the door. As soon as you walked through, he shook every person's hand as they walked in, and he looked right at me, and he said, "I believe in you, Patrick." And I walked through. I was like, how does he even know my name? Doesn't he have 2 kids? How does he remember all these names? He knew all 50 people in the room by name. And I remember at that moment, I want to be better. I want to grow. And belief in Andy Albright, to me, just getting around Andy Albright, you're going to increase your belief in Andy Albright. That's my opinion, okay?
The one thing that the power that Andy has is that even if you don't believe in yourself, you at least can believe in Andy Albright. Because when he has no doubt in his mind, not one iota, and if you have doubts in yours, you get around him, and at least you can believe in his, because he is focused like a laser. The second one is belief in the alliance. How can you not, if you come to this facility, how can you not have belief in the infrastructure that the alliance provides? I tell you what, there are not many that have this kind of infrastructure that you could build a long-term business on. You already know that Andy's creating a legacy, right, that will go on beyond his lifetime. So man, jump in, the water's fine. He's created an infrastructure that is not unlike any other. He's developed the carrier relationships. He has the tremendous staff and the consultants to support us. He's got the education and training. He's got this rockin' CRM program that's coming. See, he's always thinking, how can we get better? How can we get better? What can we do to enhance your ability to sell insurance, to recruit other people to sell insurance, and to build a long-term business that will go into your retirement years and beyond to your children and your children's children. That's what we're talking about here. It's not just a part-time insurance opportunity, right? New lead programs, the LPT, all the things that we have available to us. Never take that lead inventory map for granted. Right. I hire people all the time from those other companies that say, well, the company said they didn't have leads in my area. I got to travel like 2 states away. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, man. Let me show you our lead inventory. And it's like, well, we got like 30 leads here. We got 40 leads here. Don't take that for granted. People don't. And you know what kind of inventory Andy has invested to have in it? To have that? It takes the lid off our belief that we can get someone started anywhere and we can get leads in their hands. Don't take that for granted, because we've been back in the old days where it's like, oh man, we got to get a lead mailing ramped up. And we don't get leads coming in for another 8 weeks, and that person quit. And all of a sudden we get the leads in, we got nobody there. Oh my gosh. So Patrick.
Yeah, very quickly on belief in the alliance, I think starts at hotspots. You guys been to a hotspot? Yeah. Who was at the Greensboro hotspot last night? Man, if somebody comes in there for the first time, they're going to believe in the alliance. Now, have you ever done something and you didn't really want to do it? Like you didn't want to eat your fresh vegetables with dinner? Sometimes. Or you didn't want to go to the gym to work out. You know what I'm saying? All the time, you said, right? But afterwards, don't you feel better that you chose the healthier option? That's like hotspots. Sometimes I don't feel like putting pants on, and I got to smile, and I have to drive to the hotspot. But once I'm there, Greensboro uplifted us last night. We had so much fun, Tia. And that's the way it is with the Alliance. And, again, if you're trying to build your belief, you got to believe in something, right? If you're going to believe in something, and you want to believe in the Alliance, just come to the Alliance. Get around the hotspots. It's a safe place, no judging. You can come and let your hair down, Toby. And, Noel Leventovich came to the hotspot last week in Cincinnati. It could have been anywhere. It's going to be the same everywhere. Paul Roberts comes to a hotspot. You're going to feel so much love, and you're going to believe in the Alliance, okay?
The third one is belief in the upline. Here's kind of the tricky one with this, is that you have to be the upline that they can believe in. when you get a call, when I get a call, if I ever like wonder if I have to answer it, then man, how can I inspire belief in them if they can't get a hold of me? Right. I always answer calls. I mean, I am like fanatical about it, and I'm always fanatical about returning calls. Because the way I believe is that if their belief is shaken in me, then their belief is shaken. And when their belief is shaken, they don't do anything, and then they don't have faith that this business is what will help them change their financial future. It's so vital that you are the upline that they can have belief in. And how are you the upline to have belief in is because you believe in all of this, and all your upline managers, growing managers that are doing this thing, your belief in Andy and Jane, belief cascades. Belief goes down in depth. And so your people are wanting to believe in something. I tell you what, I do recruiting calls, and most of my calls are people not so much doubting what we're doing. Most of the calls is, Carrie, they want to believe that what we're doing is going to work for them. That's right. My job as someone who's recruiting is that I clear away their unbelief and I get them to believe. And how do I do that? I send them Andy Albright videos. There's a bunch of Andy Albright videos, like the legacy video with Andy and Jane rocks. If you want them to believe in a long-term business, man, that one kills it. His tour of the Alliance video, man, talk about infrastructure. You let a new person see that, it's like, whoa, this ain't no rinky-dinky operations. You see Andy getting his jet delivered to him, his second jet. Man, their belief just goes through the roof. And that is why I've been able to get people to recruit, because they believe more in their upline.
Yeah, this is really this is a simple one, but we get confused a lot. If you want the people you hire to believe that what you're telling them is good for them, you want them to believe that, right? Yeah. Don't you say, like, if you just read this script, it's going to work, and they say, I got my own script. Don't you just want to rattle them, like, grab their helmet and shake it, like, come on, we got a game plan. Well, if you want them to believe what you're telling them, the simplest way to get them to do it is every time they ask anything, you point to your upline. You point to your agency manager that's growing. You point to Andy Albright. If you're always pointing to your upline, then your people, when they start hiring their folks, where are they going to point? To you. And then you're pointing to the upline. If you tell the opposite, this is where it's so simple, but if you don't think about it, you might miss this. If you tell someone if they say, should I apply for the ALA? Or should I go to family reunion? And you say, nah, I don't think you should do that. What you just did, you might not realize this, but then when they're telling people, when somebody they hire says, should I listen to Terry Edwards? Well, they're going to follow your example. Well, let's see, he said not to get around the upline. You're shooting yourself in the foot. But it's so simple. Just keep it simple. If you're always recommending the people that you hire to follow the upline, then they'll believe in you. If you're not promoting getting around the upline every opportunity you can, your people will not believe in you. It's really that simple. Make sense? You don't have to be good at this business. You don't have to be a great producer yet. You don't have to be a good recruiter yet. But you can get people to follow you if you're following somebody else. Very simple.
Another thing about that, dude, is the way I look at it is I override everyone. There are agents that I actually override commission-wise, but the way that I treat the alliance, y'all are on my team.
Yeah.
And it may not be a money override, but I'm getting a spiritual override if I'm helping you. That's the way I look at it. So the beauty of believing the upline is that everyone can be an upline when you encourage and help someone. I field calls from people outside my organization all the time, and I know all the top leaders do. Paul Roberts, Fitz, Davies, all these guys field calls because they want to help everyone. Can you imagine how much belief that you inspire in people knowing that you give them your card, and I don't care what group you're in, because you're part of the Alliance team. You're part of Andy Albright's team. If I can help you, I can help Andy. And when I can help Andy, then I help me and my family. Do you see how that works? Finally, belief in you. How do you develop belief in you? Well, you build belief in yourself, in myself, by getting around the people that believe in me. Do you see how that works? And when people are around me, I believe in them. And when you believe in people around you, then it's infectious. It's a multiplication factor. It just kind of like pops like popcorn. The level of belief, when you say to someone, I believe in you. I believe you can do this thing. It doesn't matter what group they're in. But you also do it by action yourself. When you take action, they can believe what you say is true. When you put numbers in a hotspot, then you say, I believe you can do what I did, that's much more effective as opposed to you being a card-carrying member of a hotspot and don't put numbers up, and they say, I believe you could do it, and you don't put numbers up. It's like, okay, really? I don't see you putting numbers up at a hotspot. I don't see you bringing new people to a hotspot, but you can do it. I believe in you. Like, that's a little hollow, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, who listened to the President's Club call with Robbie yesterday, Robbie Kraft? Did he light it up? Oh man, he lit it up. I mean, with the IPAs and the LSAs, I was having a blast. But one thing he said I loved, he said, what's the fastest way to build your self-image? Work. He said reading's great, association's great, but he said the fastest way to increase your self-image, your belief in yourself, is to work. And you think about your favorite leaders in the Alliance, the ones that if you could have anyone come to your local hotspot, you think about that person. How do they have such a tremendous belief in themselves? Oh, they work. That's my favorite thing about
absolutely, man.
About that call yesterday, President's Club. Thank you for inviting me to do this with you. I'm gonna sneak in the back and take notes. Okay, thank you.
All right, Patrick Connors. I'll tell you what, I can't take credit for it. He's just, man. See, the thing that I always did was like, Andy Albright. I always wanted Andy to work with Patrick. I always wanted my upline and my downline. You ever have those Napoleons out there that you can't talk to my downline unless you run it by me? Like, I was always opposite. This man, Andy, hey, work with Mike and Noel, work with Patrick, and then I'm off building my team while he's working with my people. I've always wanted it that way. I'm so proud of Patrick and Suzanne for the team they've built and all the people they brought to it. So, here's the final thing about belief in you, is when Andy believes in you. When you know that Andy and Jane love you, particularly when you don't feel particularly good about yourself, when you don't feel like you're worthy of love, they will love you unconditionally, and they'll help you and support you. As you may know, the reason why we weren't at national conference was Ginny was diagnosed with cancer, breast cancer, and she was diagnosed in December. And when we first found out about that, I was very private. I didn't know I didn't want it to go out. I don't know why. I just felt like maybe, but as you can imagine, the fear was great. Because when you hear the C word, it just rocks you to your core. And we didn't even find out about it in a really good way. She got a mammogram done, and then she called back and said, well, what are the results? She goes, the secretary said, doesn't look good. We think it's cancer. And she goes, we'll schedule in for and Jeannie was like, can you imagine getting that news to you? And then Jeannie has to tell me about it. And she waited. She didn't like, okay, honey, this is what happened. And so when you hear your wife, who has this, it's the C word, right? You just don't know how to react. See, cancer is what happens to other people. Cancer is a person on your prayer list. And I have a big list of people on my cancer prayer list. And this was the first time I had to confront the fact that my own wife is now on my cancer prayer list. And here I am, like, I'm thinking about this all the time. I mean, like, engrossed. My mind in fear. The more I focused on it, the fear got worse. My brain just was totally wrapped around it. And I didn't think I had anyone to talk to. And then I realized Jane Albright had cancer. She's a cancer survivor. And the first person I called, like literally it was like the next day, because I couldn't stand it anymore, is I called Jane Albright. I said, hey, Jane, Ginny has cancer. And Jane just couldn't be more loving and more optimistic and more giving to me and say, hey, Amy, it's going to be all right. Alex, it's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And she gave me this just feeling like someone who's gone through it is telling me it's going to be okay. And she's already texted with Ginny and spoke to Ginny, but I needed someone to talk to. And then Andy calls me later and said, hey, dude. And Andy just gave me the feeling like he cares not about the volume we bring to the company. He cares about me as a person. That he loves me, not because of those things, because of me and Ginny and the friendships that we've created since 1993. That to me was like, I'm going to follow them wherever because how much they love us. And I would not wish cancer on you for you to find out. But what I want you to know is that it is there. You know, when we found out about it, something I've always taught my agents, and now I really had to put into practice, right? I had to be the student of my own teaching, is that sometimes when tragedy happens, and no matter what tragedy, you start thinking about, why me, Lord? Why me, Lord? And then you get into a victim mode, like, what did I do wrong? What is there sin in my life because I was struck by this thing? There must be, you know how some preachers will tell you, well, you've got sin, so that's why you got struck with this disease. You know how they make you feel guilty and, you know, maybe you're not tithing, you know. And the way I've always taught is, it's not ever a question of why me, Lord. It's, Lord, what can I learn from this? What can I take away from what you taught me? And so what I learned quickly is controlling thoughts. Every time I focus on the fear, the more my stomach just churns. And the more my stomach churned, the more I focused on fear. I was so consumed with thinking about it that it paralyzed me. And so Andy has always taught me this. He's very good at it. It's like, think about something else. Like when Andy got that hook stuck in his finger, he's like, I don't want to focus on the pain. I'm going to call Andy Riddle. You know, I got a call from Andy one day, and he goes, hey, bud, what's up? He goes, I just want to call somebody because Forrester's just really made me mad. And I don't know what I would do. So he just called me. We just started talking. He's really good at misdirecting his thoughts on something that's more positive. And so what I did was, what can I do worrying about Ginny having cancer? We are going to deal with it. One thing I learned about Ginny, my awesome wife, is that she has this way of not focusing on the fear that causes. She focused on what can we do to take care of it. She made decisions in her mind of how she was going to handle it. She had her cry. The hardest thing that we ever had to do was tell our children that she had cancer. That was the hardest thing. But beyond that, it's like, okay, let's take care of it. What do we got to do? She just like, let's do it. I went to every appointment with her, right? And so she's got this tremendous ability. See, courage is taking action in spite of the fear. It's not the absence of fear. Courage is taking action in spite of it.
Right, that's good.
So here's what she thought. It's like, okay, what are my options? Got her options. And you can do a lumpectomy, you can do a mastectomy. She goes, you know what, I'm not messing with cancer. I don't want it coming back. I'm going to do a double mastectomy. And I said, right on, honey. Let's get it out of my body. And she said, man, isn't breast cancer an interesting thing? It's not like an internal cancer. It's a cancer that you can actually get rid of by surgery, right? I'm thinking, man, how practical a way to think of it. In other words, it could be worse. There are people with worse cancers, but hers was one like she could just lop off, right? So then the next thing was, after we figured out that it was stage 1 cancer, grade 3, that it was all contained, like the best news possible, right? Then it's like, okay, what are we going to do for reconstruction and so on? So we met with the reconstruction surgeons, And, so it was like an interesting process. They have like the latest and greatest techniques, and they happen to be like 60 miles away from us. We didn't have to go to some other state. God blessed us. I tell you what, y'all who prayed for us couldn't find a better way. I mean, it was never manifested until all these great things happened to us. We know that the prayers were working, right? Because this latest and greatest procedure will have her have full feeling when they do the reconstruction. And then I said, by the way, can you make them bigger? And while you're in there, you might as well. It's like, I know, I'm a peg. That's one thing I love about Jenny is that, you know what, if you can laugh in the face of cancer, you've conquered it. Because if you let cancer take away your sense of humor, then you let it win. I always like keeping it light with her. I'm not quite as funny as Stephen Davies. But when she got out of surgery, I did tell the two jokes that Stephen said. Like, why can't you hear a pterodactyl pee? Because the P is silent. So she's coming out of surgery and she's like, oh my God, I can't laugh. The other thing is really from my daughter came from New York to stay with us, and she was helping us with dinner and stuff like that. And so she was kind of spooning out like this casserole. And so she goes, Mommy, how many do you want? She goes, I'll take one breast. And I said, honey, I think you need two. And she just busted out laughing because she had no idea what she said. It's like, you know what? There's something about laughter that makes you feel like, you know what? It ain't no big thing. We're not going to let cancer win. Here's the other thing, that if you ever had to go through anything hard like that, the Alliance is the best place to be. Because we are supported by love. We got calls, we got flowers. You have no idea the outpouring of love and all the prayer chains around the world that we're on because of our Alliance family. If you can, see, that's the thing about this. The belief in you is that you are not alone. You are not alone. No matter what hard thing you're going through, you're not alone. Because there are people that love you and care for you, and Auntie and Jane Albright who love and care for you, that you are not alone in this thing, man. I don't care if you feel lonely, you went through 10 no-shows, that you are not alone. Because they're right there with you. You may feel like you're there, but you are a phone call away. You're a text away from Andy Albright saying, hey, bro, I tried today. And he'll text something back, and it's like, the president and CEO of the Alliance is texting you, someone who's like 30 deep from him at the 55 contract level, and he cares enough about you that he will text you back. You are not alone in the Alliance. You are not alone. I think of Andy and Jane. I think about Jane Albright. And there's this prayer that it's called the Prayer of St. Francis. And this is what Jane Albright is to me. This is what Andy Albright is to me. This is what the Alliance is to me. And this is what I think, if you take this on, this is what the Alliance can be for you. This is a prayer of St. Francis. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is dying that we are born to eternal life. We talk about eternity. Do you know that when we go out there every day serving families, that is what we're doing. We are channeling that peace that God gave us through Andy and Jane Albright and the awesome business of the Alliance. We're not closing sales. We are channeling that peace out there. We are serving families. We are finding agents who are broken, and we're bringing them into this family so that if they ever have to go through cancer, that they're going to have a whole family that loves them and supports them. If they're going through addiction, they have a whole family that loves and supports them. If they're going through tragedy in their lives, they have a whole family that loves and supports them. Thank you, Andy and Jane Albright, for loving and supporting us. We're not deserving, but we are blessed and grateful that God put you in our lives, me and Jenny. Thanks, everybody, for an awesome TWC. You guys rock. I love you all. Thanks. Good job, man. Love you so much.